Abani Gani, everyone. This is Professor Ahmed Rao, Professor Emeritus, California State University of Long Beach, and joining you with the Conscious Corner, along with one of the most profound historians who don't do anything but get facts about Blacks, and that's Brother Joe Hembrick, who will be joining us in this presentation about the psychological and educational development of Black children and other issues that affect the quality of life and the circumstances that Black people in America and in the diaspora, meaning dispersed all over the world. So we got to talk about the Haitians tonight and a little bit, and we got to talk about some other issues. But before we get started, we left with a question that Brother Doctor had raised about sellouts, and I want him to raise that issue again before we get into the psychological development of Black children, because a lot of that has to do with the development of Black children, how we keep them from being sellouts. So go ahead, Brother Doctor.
Okay, yeah, the question was, you have sellouts, they're gonna do what they're gonna do, man. You can't change their mind. So why do Pan-Africans, people that move it, really care about these people? Why we pay these people any mind? Because we got, like I said, you got your Larry Elders, your Candace Owens, your Terry Crews. Why you pay these people any mind? You're not going to change their mind,
Well, I don't think we got the money to change their mind. Much money that some of them get. It depends on what they selling and who they selling it to. That's the issue. It's not dealing with them on a personal level. It's dealing with them on a principle level. And that's what selling out means, not carrying out your principles or, forgetting about your principles and participating in some activity, but it goes beyond just principles with some people when you sell out. It depends on what you're selling out about, that we're not trying to change their mind, but we're trying to educate people to the position on policies and the things that affect Black people. That's one. Does it have an adverse or some type of damaging impact of whatever they're selling out and who they're selling it to? The other thing is that does it, what do we do from a principle standpoint or from a standpoint of being able to call someone out or discover that someone is selling out? I mean, what is the basis of us having morals, ethics, and values that govern us as a people, that certain things we just don't do? You just don't do things that will hurt the people and hurt the community, or you don't support activities that have adverse effect on the community. So where's the line drawn that we do call out the activity or what that person is selling out for, especially if it has an adverse effect? The other thing is that you had mentioned that, they would Larry Elder was just making money to just feed his family, and he had the right to do that to a certain degree. Well, we all are trying to make money to salvage and develop our families and maintain a quality of life that we can. And we want to compliment all those that went and got education and got various forms of employment that are entrepreneurship that sustains them or takes them on a higher level of life. There's nothing wrong with that. You understand? But the question is, are you getting directly paid to be an informant on the Black community, or to do damage to the Black community, or to aid or collaborate with oppressors to oppress our people even more, or policies that have oppressive effects on the masses of people, may it be here or in diaspora? So we look at that. And then the third thing is that money is the measure in this country they teaches us, and some people go for it unless you commit conscious or cultural suicide and don't buy into it. But many of us are working class, and we don't have to live in the community. We could go out to and integrate, but some of us chose to live amongst Black people and stay here. But those that want to move, they have the right to move. That's not the issue. The issue is, do you understand the importance of us maintaining a Black united front, an ethical and principled united front? And some of us take a position that, you know, we're not going to, for a few dollars, to eat some hors d'oeuvres on the White House lawn, or to be a part of I'm the only Black here and I'm happy, and so you coalesce, or even marry, pursue and marry white women thinking they give you status. I mean, these are white men from the Black woman's standpoint. You know, we must maintain an ethical and principled value system, and it's very important. But we don't let money be the measure of our character. If that's the case, the dope dealer is okay. If that's the case, the hitman and gangbangers that shoot each other for contracts and initiation in gangs, they okay. I mean, we have to draw some line with regards to the activities of individuals that do adverse effects on our community. You know, we look at the and fourthly, we look at the perspective of that, you know, we are in a very challenging condition as African Americans. Throughout our history, we have protested and resisted oppression. We resisted even coming over here on the boat to be enslaved. Some jumped off the boat, some overthrew the boat, and some drove back, some drowned and chose death. I mean, it's a lot that we went through. Some fought on the plantation. I mean, Frederick Douglass, that's how he got away. I mean, you know, Harriet Tubman, she could have said, you know what, I'm free, but she said, I'm sad though, because my people, the people I love, is still back there, so I'm going back. You know, so we've had heroes and sheroes that represent the best of us as an African people. And sellouts do not, especially, you know, you sell out for a lot of things, but if you're selling out to have adverse effect on the Black community or to win favor from the oppressor, when you say that the white man deserves reparations for the people that they enslaved, who they lost after the Civil War. Now that's going a little too far, I think. So those are the things I think. Do you have a response, Doc?
Yeah, well, like I said, only thing I have a problem with is your morals, integrity is different from his. You're saying just because he's Black, he has to think like you, be morally, just because he's Black in his background. And I disagree with that. He can be everywhere he wants to be. And understand your point. Yeah, I wouldn't want him around me, as you said. Yeah, I wouldn't, you know, I wouldn't trust him around me, but that man has a right to be what he wants to be. His morals and values are different from yours. But just because he's Black, he shouldn't be forced to think like you, or, you know, because he's Black. If he wants to be a sellout, let him be a sellout. That's his morals. He think it's right. He's doing that. You know, I don't have a problem against it. He was somebody I wouldn't mess with, anybody like that. But I don't think it's right that we should, because you're Black, you got to be this Pan-African and fight for the cause. And some people is not going to do that. You know, like I said, you know, had other people. I sent the video to some other people, and they called me up, and they kind of commented to me. They said, "Hey, you guys are not looking at this. It's a generational thing." And they also said, "Hey, you know, we're never going to be able to control the narrative." So I haven't, looked into it, but that's some of the answers I got. But my point of view is, I don't, just because someone's black, I have a way of thinking, and I don't think just because he doesn't think the way I think, he's wrong. I'm going to do what I need to do for my family and my people. If he wants to do something different, that's on him.
Well,
that's my only point of view.
I understand, but first of all, I wasn't saying that he don't have the right to be conservative. He don't have the right to even share some of the views that conservative white races have. Yeah, you're right. We got Clarence Thomas's. We've had that issue throughout our history. We're not mad at his personal values or his ethics of his political persuasion. He has a right. We're not saying that, but we're saying that some of that political persuasion and some of that values that he has have an adverse or detrimental effect on the masses of us as a people. It's like Ward Conley, who was against affirmative action. He has a right to be against affirmative action, but you can't say that don't hurt us as an African people. Or Black people that sold out and told people that people were trying to escape from slavery because they believed that it was bad to run away. I mean, that's going a little bit adverse. I'm talking about adversity, Brother Doctor. I'm talking about why do America have what they call treason laws? If that was the case, ain't no such thing as treason. If that was the case, why are they arresting those people that attacked the Capitol and charging them with sedition? They passed laws to keep their people unified. That's most of the jurisprudence laws are to keep white folks from savaging each other. They don't use laws. We just affected by them, but they kill our leaders for heresy, for the way they think. But I'm just trying to get an understanding of equating vulgar individualism that hurts the masses as they had the right to do that. Where are the standards? Where is the parameters that keep you from doing that? I mean, every leader of a movement has many of them have been sold out, and murdered or either put in prison on trumped up charges because somebody sold out. That's not. How do you justify hurting somebody else so that you can feed your family? So therefore the pimp can pimp somebody's daughter, somebody's sister, somebody's mama. The dope dealer can sell drugs to kids, as long as they just feeding their family, or if that's their philosophy, it's a dog-eat-dog world, so I had the right to think this way. No, you got that. There's no need in having morals and ethics, principles. If you can just justify it by saying, hey, I'm for me only, and I don't care what I do, even if it has a negative effect, I'm going to do it for my family. I mean, people went, it's just like, why do you think they have to torture captives to get information? They won't give it to them. I don't know what else to say other than that, but anyone else have anything to say on that
Hey,
topic?
Professor Rob,
Yeah.
Thomas Horn wanted to respond to that. Brother Thomas.
Greetings, family. Brother Ra, I'm in 110% in support of what you said, with exception to how extreme it is. Brother Doc, I heard what you said, and no, I disagree that no Black man or woman or child has a right to betray his people, especially in 2021, like what Brother Rob was saying. In the past, one of our downfalls was we did not know who the sellout was until the insurrection was toppled and the main champions of the insurrections were captured and murdered. The benefit of sellouts today, like Larry Elder and Candace Owens, is they're visible. I think that it's great and it's awesome for those sellouts to make themselves known, so that we will know who they are and where they don't belong. I applaud sellouts so that we can go to the next level of our revolution, which is organize, 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 and know exactly who belongs in the organizational meetings and sessions and think tanks. It's easy to pinpoint Larry Elder now. It's easy to tell who Candace Owens don't belong in our think tanks. I applaud them. Every sellout is a victim of racism. All of us are victims of racism. It's just that sellouts are consensual. So we all have done something on some level that in our lives, we were not perfect revolutionaries, but we strive, those who are making revolution a mission, strive to reflect it and live it perfectly. But those who have decided to ally with the enemy and be his or her mouthpiece, that is God, Allah, saying this is a different time. Sellouts are emboldened to make themselves known, which is actually a benefit to the movement. It's a benefit. We know who they are. And Professor Ra, I'm an extreme advocate of what you said. Off with their spiritual heads when it comes to selling out and trading us. We must have the same policies to kill the spirit of whoever advocates and allies with our enemy. They're not welcome amongst us. They're dead to us. They are psychologically and spiritually tarred and feathered, unable to cohabitate with us. At the same time, because Black people are so merciful and beneficent, we know when a Candace Owens finally gets ousted and kicked to the curb by her Caucasian pseudo support system, because see, Caucasians don't respect the sellout. This is a gangster lifestyle. Caucasians is the biggest gangster. Don't you know that in all those movies in the past, when you have that one organized criminal who sells out his boss to the other boss, as soon as he sells him out, that other boss kills him outright, because they're like, you have no loyalty. Thank you for selling out your boss, but we're going to kill you, because they don't respect the sellout. Caucasians don't respect the sellout. And how do we respond to these sellouts? This is how we respond. The Honorable Louis Farrakhan is the most disrespected, widely disrespected, talked about, mistreated, can't even go to England, can't even go to Israel, can't even go to certain places because he speaks the truth. He doesn't pay attention to sellouts. He shines the light of truth, and the sellouts, it's like roaches with the light come on. They come out trying to just scramble and attack in behalf of their Caucasian masters. And guess what? We know who the roaches are, and the light that we shine just stomps those roaches. We don't have to make a move towards them. We ignore them. Let them satisfy their pseudo masters, because they're not respected by them, and they have no home.
All right.
They have no home.
All right.
You know what I'm saying?
Brother, we got to let Brother Hembrick in.
All right, man. All right. I just want to let you know, kind of let y'all know that I'm on fire. And no, we should not have any respect. And no Black man, woman, and child. Every Black man, woman, and child needs to be loyal to us, like other cultures, people are loyal to them, that enable them to be able to excel and academically excel and economically excel in America. That's why we are such at the bottom right now. So I just wanted to make that clear. I commend you, Brother Ra. Thank you very much, Brother Rashaki, and I appreciate this opportunity.
All right. Brother Hembrick?
Yes, sir. Well, I'm like Brother Clark when it comes to the selling out thing. They sold us out for 30 pieces of silver when silver is no longer the medium of exchange. Let's not waste any time with them. Let's just pity them. But I would like to tell Brother Thomas, you bring up some good points and all that, brother, but I kind of appreciate it if you leave a religion at the door. If you bring up these religions, all three of them were involved in our enslavement. And I don't like to give any of them any credence whatsoever. I don't know if you know the history of that or not, but I'll just leave that where it is. Um, uh, you know, information is profound, and a lot of it's my belief that some of these folks that quote unquote labeled sellouts and whatnot, really may not be informed to a degree that they need to be, because of the things that they're doing or not doing. So I'm kind of way with the mountain. Now, those that do know and still go on with their plots and ploys, I'm kind of like the Mau. We need to 86 them right away as soon as possible and get them on out the way, because they're trying to infiltrate and destroy whatever some Black people are trying to do. So I don't like spending a lot of time on the sellout thing. I just like to talk about, us moving forward. And Brother Thomas, hope I didn't offend you by what I said earlier, but they all were involved in our enslavement, and I can't be a part or identify with anything that was involved in that brought us here and got us to this. Not even here, even when we were over there, it happened. So maybe we need to move on. If no one else has any more comments, we can move on to the psychology of the Black child.
Well, let's see if Machinda have any comments.
Good evening. No comments at this time.
Rashaki, you on mute.
For the sake of time, I'm gonna I'm gonna mute myself on that one.
Brother Doctor, did you have a follow-up?
Oh, no. That's great responses. Brother Thomas, like your response. Hey, Brother Hembrick, hey, great response. And I just want to say one thing, being offended. I don't think anyone should be offended here. This is a learning channel, educational channel. We're all learning. We all want answers. So I don't think anyone should be offended. We're all learning, but not great answers. And, I got what I, wanted to hear. Both Brother Thomas and Brother Hembrick kind of rolled it up all together in one package. And that's good for me. Let's move on.
Let me just make a quick point. That's true that some people who identify with certain religions participated in diabolic activities such as the Holocaust of enslavement and other form of treacherous acts, that from the Jim Joneses to the Davis, and but there are also people that use religion for liberation and conscious upliftment. You can't argue that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad didn't bring forth a perspective of religion that was liberating for many young men that they transformed into outstanding soldiers of the movement. Noble Drew Ali. You can also look at Martin Luther King taking Christianity for mobilization and education, that they used their faith for to gain civil rights. There are many people that abuse religion, abuse a lot of things. There's people that abuse parenthood, but we don't denigrate all parents. I don't think we should denigrate all religions, because some people use it to get off drugs. Some people use it to change their life, to get off alcohol, to change their temperament. That's positive. But the negative, I understand what Brother Henry is saying about the role. I don't think it was religion. I think it was the people that were in the religion that was abusing the religion and making that. Now, getting back to the sellout as I conclude, and Brother Tom, I wasn't, I used to be on the same podium with Minister Farrakhan, and we spoke, and I know him and Khalid Abdul Muhammad had a hard line position, and the Nation of Islam policy on people that sell out. You take their head. So this, it wasn't like they didn't have standards for your behavior in the Nation of Islam. You couldn't do certain things. You couldn't even come to a meeting if you had warrants.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, so discipline was very important.
That's right.
I admire Doc for the question because we're not talking about people that just have sell out or for mediocre things. We're talking about that have a detrimental effect on the progress, the lives of our people. So as Joe said, we can get into the psychological development of the Black child and educational development. And I want to see if Machinda could start off what he thinks are some things that we could do, perspectives that he thinks would help the psychological development of the Black child and what you want to develop them to mentally, spiritually, and emotionally. Go ahead, Machinda. Do you have any ideas?
Well, I mean, thank you. That's a broad question, but, just to add to the equation, identifying the structure that kids, we're talking about the young Black children in America growing up, I look at, not only the dynamics of their family, their school system, community, so forth. So obviously there's a breakdown in a lot of homes, and when it comes to family, in a lot of communities and schools, breakdown, so but it's interesting, I don't want to dwell on the sellout or anything like that, but I think what I'm understanding in terms of the way I see it, it's something that there's a breakdown in society, and I think everybody is trying to figure out a way, how do we fix this? How do we improve this? How do we, so back to the psychological aspect, it's the images that are being portrayed to these young children. I mean, well, some of the solutions could be, there's mentorship programs and things like that, rites of passage programs. We can name a lot of positive things, a lot of positive efforts, I think your son, Dr. Ross, doing, I don't know him, but I read a little bit and I heard him talk, doing a beautiful job as it relates to fighting the war on, the psychological warfare, but, I'm just in agreement with those solutions, at the grassroots level, what I do in my everyday life, I'm talking to families regularly, children, when I say talking, what are we talking about? I think one of my times I spoke, I talked about my nephew who I helped out. And, today I talked, yesterday I talked to him and he was saying that he didn't do well. He got a progress report. I said, well, hey, let's get together, So I'm just talking about, basic intervention, basic interaction. And in the school system where the child spends a lot of their time, I know on a previous podcast, they talked about, I think Brother Hembrick brought up about, mental health solutions that are in, where there are any new or updated mental health solutions in the school. And Brother Rasaki had mentioned that there's mental health centers and things like that, so I think that, the battle, that's why I spoke, I'm kind of in survival mode because of the fact that, man, it's sometimes it could be overwhelming, so I just appreciate, the perspectives and showing up tonight, is an indication of like, hey, it's this positive food for thought, positive exchange. But I'm just saying it's got to be attacked at the grassroots level. I mean, that's old news, families. And I mentioned the nonprofit that my wife and I, are in, that has started, and, dealing with healthcare and education, sending out that information, trying to, create, awareness and opportunity and information to the general public. And, just doing a part. So if everybody does their part, but I don't have a one size fit all solution. I really don't. I just feel that, for the sake of time, I would say that, just keep doing what y'all doing, hopefully, like I say, more people become aware from podcasts like this in order to, grow your awareness. But you got to get down to the grassroots level, that's simple as that. I mentioned, not to keep talking, but, another child got killed today. I'm down south, I'm in a little town. Another person got killed. These little children got guns. We talking about psychological warfare is huge. I spoke on that a couple of weeks ago. A child that got killed. Now we've been, I grew up in Compton, so yeah, I've been hearing about stuff like that. But in this town, in this situation, this is a whole nother level. It's just indicative of what's going on, across the board. So anyway, I don't know. I'm still learning.
Okay, good,
Yeah.
good.
Can
Brother
I go?
Horn.
Can I go
Oh,
next?
yeah, go ahead, Rashaki, and then we go to Brother Horn, then Doc, and then Brother Henry. Yeah.
Okay, so now, being a high school teacher and teaching math, I have to look at, and plus, I recently got my administrative credential, and when you are an educator, I think that you have to, and especially coming from administrator's perspective, you have to know the client. You got to know the students, what type of students, the dynamics of the students. And then you have to prepare from that standpoint. You have to have things in place at your institution of education to address the different challenges that's going to arise. Let me give you an example. At our school currently, they are having tardy sweeps due to the lateness of the children, due to the numerous altercations that's been happening. So putting on my administrator hat, I already know that we're gonna have some students that are gang related. I know we're gonna have parents that are just as bad as the students with being prompt and coming to school on time. So in the beginning of the school year, you start immediately with implementing policies and interventions that's going to help curtail those type of issues that's going to arise. You already, like Ra, I asked you, I said, Ra, are you ready? You say, I stay ready. So as an educator, as an administrator, you have to already know what your client is and how and what dynamics they come to when they come to you, and have things already prepared. Another thing, you have a tremendous amount of students that has a negative outlook when it comes to mathematics. And what I do is I work to dispel these incorrect thoughts, the psychological thoughts of mathematics. And I teach the students. I attack the issue where it is. And so you have to be very creative as an educator and as a person that's conscious to realize that we have these issues. So you got to have things in place to dispel these things. And so that's sort of like a position that I take.
All right, that's a good position. Brother Horn,
Yes, sir.
give us your understanding of the psychological and educational development of Black youth, and what do you think are some points that would help them deal with the issue?
Well, as an educator, me and Brother Rashaki have talked about this. The public educational system is the worst system we could even have our children in. It's doing exactly what it was meant to do, and right now in 2021, it's gotten to the pinnacle of success in making sure that young Black men are coming out confused, are coming out with no ambition, are coming out goalless, are coming out with superficial aspirations towards sports and entertainment. When, as I see them, they're not doing not one thing to show that they have that passion and desire to drive towards sports and entertainment. A lot of the questions I ask students, like the 12th graders, like they don't know what they want to do. 11th graders don't know what they want to do. And then when I kind of pull their coat on life issues and give them some advice, they act like they've never heard anything that I've said. And it could be basic, just like in terms of diet, importance of diet and eating good and relationships. So we have our children in the worst situation ever. We have them in a death style practicing educational system that teaches them everything other than what they're supposed to be as a young Black freedom fighter and revolutionary towards freedom, justice, and equality. And until we get them out of the system and start creating educational institutions that impose a rites of passage, and that where us as seasoned and elder brothers take our young under our wing and expose them to the teachings of old on how to be men, how to be husbands, how to be community leaders, how to be fathers, how to be uncles, how to be brothers, then the way things are going right now, it's going to just keep on going that way, and it's going to be our fault. We need to do what all these other cultures do. Asians, you may see them in public school, but then they go to school after school. Jews, you may see them in public school, but then they go to school after school, into a culturally refining educational system that teaches them cultural loyalty, respect, and how to navigate in so-called the melting pot of America and still keep their cultural loyalty and patriotism intact. We don't have none of that. Society's raising our children, the radio's raising our children, videos are raising our children, social media is raising our children, movies are raising our children, the LGBTQZP plus is raising our children. Everything out there is raising our children to the point where they don't even want to function and be and know what it is to be Black. The solution is totally divest from the educational system. Create a all Black male and female educational institution where we once again educate our own, raise our own, rear our own, and teach our children the cultural refinement and loyalty and patriotism of our culture ourselves. That is the cure to our circumstance.
All right, good. Good point. I'm gonna get back to that. Doc, do you have any suggestions on the psychological development and educational and vocational development of the Black child?
You know, I'm agree 1000% with Brother Thomas. Brother Thomas, you hit it there, man. You hit it. Problem is we're not controlling the narrative. We have a generational gap where we're 2 steps behind these kids. You know, you gotta get them to buy in. And Brother Thomas is the only one here. Well, I'm gonna just say this, Brother Thomas, you're looking at reality. That's what I do. I look at reality. You stated what the problem was. You stated what needs to be done. You know, Rasa Keith brought up some points. You know, you can see these issues with the kids and with the tiredness, but when you come up with policies and try to curtail the issues, that's not going to work because you're not controlling the narrative. Kind of like what Brother Thomas said, you know, they're on another level, man. Like I said, it's a generational thing. So one of my partners told me he lives in Sacramento. He listened to the shows and he said, man, you guys are not facing reality. It's a generational gap and we're not controlling the narrative. And when we don't face reality and control the narratives, when we don't have control, that's when religion come in. We get religious. when we can't do something strong and stand up for ourselves, we get religious, get religion behind us. And like I said, with the kids, man, we're not controlling the narrative. We're not gonna be able to get these kids out of this situation till we control the narrative. Show them what, you know, what you're trying to preach, Brother Ra. We're not controlling that narrative. It's like Brother Thomas said, the whites are controlling that narrative. You know, you guys have these, you know, these issues in school, and we're not facing reality, and we're not controlling narratives, man. So once we get the hold of controlling that narratives, and what we show the, you know, the better side, I think that's when it's going to change for our psychological for the kids, man.
All right. Brother Hendrick, Professor Hendrick.
Yeah. Well, I understand the obstacles in public education. I worked in it for 39 years. Been on both sides of the fence, a teacher, coach, and an administrator. But there's a lot of things that our kids don't come with when they come through our doors. And they go through a lot of things to even get to school. What Brother, what Brother Rasky was saying about when they come with a problem, do we have something in place? Well, oftentimes there's nothing in place. But as a classroom teacher, that was my domain. And whatever was dealing with the kid or whatever had happened, I might take the last few minutes of the class to address it. You don't have to stick to the curriculum all the time. And it's not education anyway, it's job training. Hey, let's get that point straight. It ain't no education, it's job training. So, you know, things happen. A lot of times you have to go on the fly, especially where we work, all the conference schools. But first, kids got to know you care about them, and then they may listen to you. You give them something that worked for them, they'll listen to you even more. I remember when I became an administrator, you know, a lot of teachers are absent. That's one of the problems. I know when I was at Centennial, it was 9 to 11 teachers absent every damn day. So you can't get any kind of stability with a child telling them to come and you ain't coming. But anyway, I used to have to, you know, sub for classes. Sometimes I would love to sub, you know, to get away from that administrative crap, trying to show terrible teachers how to be good teachers, and they fighting you all along. And I would take these terrible classes. And by the time that bell rang, I had them kids eating out of my hands. It's what you bringing to them. You need to bring stuff to them that they can see in their world, and then they can identify with it. And then, you know, you progress, you add a little more. But and Brother Doctor, I say you can control the narrative in your domain. And you got them for an hour a day. And oftentimes you can change a lot of the thought process and, you know, the stuff that kids are coming to school with and the bad habits that they have. You know, you might want to make a little personal contract with the kid yourself as the teacher. Hey man, if you come on time, you know, I'll do this. Hey man, I'll buy a piece. You know, something, you know, to get the ball rolling. And once you get them rolling and they buying into what you talking, and then you can get them even more. So I don't buy into this. I know the system is all screwed up. I know that. I worked in it, but I was very successful when I worked in it. I taught them who they were, where they need to be going, what they need to be about being a good citizen, being a family person, acquiring property. I said, in America, you ain't even in the game if you don't know property. You know, so I used to tell them about my own situation, being a landlord. I said, but I don't want everybody to be, own property. Then I wouldn't have no tenants, you know. But I used to teach them this stuff and the value of it and what it does in this society, since we live in a capitalistic society. So I just want to say that, you know, teachers can make a difference. But if you're going by central office directives and that sort of stuff, you ain't gonna never do nothing. And you know, but complain. And I was one for I don't care who show up, what condition they in, I'm teaching them. I'm gonna get them what they need to know. If it's time, a lot of them are, a lot of these kids are homeless, man. They homeless, they're in foster care, the people pimping them for that check. So ain't nothing coming from, from the living situation to help them get on track. So you gotta be the go-between. You gotta wear a lot of hats if you care about it. And that's all I'm gonna say at this time. Maybe I'll come back later, but I've seen them totally turn around, from rock bottom to the top. I remember when I was my last year teaching, I had this kid, I didn't have him at first, but he used to come ditching when I was a PE teacher. And I'd run him away, him and his girlfriend, the whole year. And so the powers that be thought they was dogging me, so that, they put me in the classroom in a history class. I like, oh, you done put me in my element. That same kid that I was running off, his senior year, he was the most improved student. And so the assistant principal came to me and asked me would I present that award. I said, sure. He said, you know who it is? I said, I know who it is. It's Darnell Hornsley. I seen it happen in front of my own eyes. So, we have to fill in the gaps that they lack, because that's our profession. If you truly care about them and you care about being an educator, a true educator, because that stuff up there ain't nothing but job training. So, and I didn't just have some for the Blacks. I had some for the Latinos too, because they're in the same position we were, just 50 years behind, so to speak. So anyway, that's all I got to say at this time, bro. And brother Thomas, I saw your chat question, and I'd rather not deal with that on this. But once the show is over, we can talk about it.
All right. I appreciate what's been said, if I understand correctly. And a lot of all y'all made some excellent points, and I appreciate it. I just want to say a few things. When we started Black Studies at Cal State Long Beach, one of the courses in the curriculum was the psychological needs of the ghetto child. Then they changed it to the psychological development of the Black child. And when we talk about psychological development of the Black child, we're not just talking about those that are already having issues. We're talking about getting to those that have not been corrupted by the society or by their environment and coping with their situation. As Brother Henrik said, there's a lot of things that are happening to children today, whereas, as far as their household and their whole exposure, as Brother Horn was saying, to the habits of being American, doing what Americans do. Like Brother Doc said, we have to control the narrative. Where you control the narrative is in your own home. Brother Horn has kids. I'm pretty sure he teaches his kids and he disciplines them. Shinda and you too, Doc, if it's not your nephews and all that, you make sure that they grow up at least focused, even if they don't have an ideology or philosophy of struggle or consciousness, at least get the fundamentals of getting the intellectual or vocational skills, as Joe said, to be self-sufficient and self-determining, stay away from drugs, alcohol, stay away from the adversities of things, try to be nutritionists and exercise and, raise a family, get married, be strong, and be male or female. We use the book by Amos Wilson, The Psychological Development of the Good Black Child. And when a person said they don't understand today's children, it's because they haven't studied them, and they haven't studied the issues, as Brother Henrik was praying about, the conditions and why they do what they do. But at the same time, Brother Rashaki got daughters and he raised them to be entrepreneurs. And our daughter studying to be a surgeon. What did he do? I mean, she grew up in the heart of Compton and Carson. Why is she so focused? Same thing with Brother Horn and his kids, and probably Machinda and the doctor. We need to take those that are successful. And remember this, you can say, okay, well, you don't control the narrative at the public schools or out there outside your house, but you do control the narrative of your home. You understand? We've had Black schools, Marcus Garvey, Sister Clara Muhammad, others throughout the country. And they done good. They done good. My son went to Marcus Garvey for a little while. The one that's in Denver is a director of diversity for Cherry Creek School District, one of the biggest districts in Aurora and Colorado. But my point is that our psychological development of the child deals with, first of all, our own psychological development. There are many parents don't think nothing's wrong with their children. No matter if they can't read, if they ain't going to school, they don't think that's wrong. Because white kids don't do that. White kids have just many problems. They eat bad. There's McDonald's in white neighborhoods. They're not just in our Black neighborhood. There's Jack in the Box in white people neighborhood. White people have just the highest truancy as Black people. At Cal State Long Beach, 40% of the students were on academic probation. We only represented 3% of the school. So who was the rest of the kids on probation? Some of them been going to school for 10, 20 years and don't even have a major yet. So I'm not using whites as a narrative. I'm just saying that a lot of it is because of our habits of being American. So we take on the American diseases, truancy, gang violence, all of that's American. All that's being an American. Using drugs, smoking cigarettes, that's something we get from America. But you don't get it at your home. You don't let your daughters and kids come home smoking cigarettes from school or things of this nature. You run a tight ship. So the emphasis is one, there's 4 stages of discipline. First is family, as everyone said. But the child is exposed to his opportunities while he's in the mama's womb. Who's the daddy? The daddy D-dog, wild dog, C-dog? Why would a sister let, somebody who's not even thinking about being a father be the father of a child? Or someone who has 5 or 6 kids somewhere else be the father of her child? But you wouldn't expect any of your daughters to make that type of a decision in choosing a mate because you trained them different. And as Joe said, a lot of these kids are not getting the training that they deserve. So Dr. Wilson said, you can't teach Black people to be white. Teach them the reality of their condition and their situation. And that's motivating them and having a vision, having a plan, and having a sense of maturity, that there are vices out there, there are pitfalls out there that you can trip in and mess up your life. And so these educational things that Dr. Francis Cress-Welsing talked about, the spiritual and psychological effects of having a white image of Jesus psychologically driven in the kid's mind when he go to a Black church and they have a white image of Jesus being a white man with long hair and a gown on. That has an effect. Some parents don't think he do. But according to a clinical psychologist, Dr. Francis Cress-Welsing, that creates an inferiority complex. Only thing I'm trying to say is that Brother Hemmick's right. Teaching kids not only to prepare to go to college, but also vocational skills is crucial. Schools have abandoned that. They've gone through testing. So where are you going to get it? At home, at other organizations. Parents that expose their kids with ideas of entrepreneurship or vocational. You start talking to them at an early age and shaping them. And above all, it'd be discipline. At your homes, you're disciplined. You discipline your daughters, your son. You see them doing something wrong, you say, hey, you check them. And the mother, even if she's a single mother, she has to do that. The second thing is the social. That's the religion and the political education to their reality. Some of these kids grow up, they're not even thinking, they don't even know the first thing about what's going on in the world, what's going on, anything other than this is a built-in audience at school, and I can entertain them. Or I can pretend like I'm going to school to get some change from my mama and go buy me some dope or cigarettes and hang out on the corner. All of that's good, okay. But I'm guaranteeing none of you on this podcast will allow that your children, you know what you do. You'll leave job early and make sure they're in school. You'll check their records. You'll make sure you'll look at their grade card. Say, what you doing with a D? What's going on here? And then you get them some help. That's the type of thing in development that we have to encourage in future parents and future communities. We had free tutoring for years, but from 79. But that's because we wanted to try to reach more than just our families. I appreciate the critique of today's youth that many of you brought forth. But I would like to see what formula you use to get your daughter to win scholarships to go and be a surgeon or a doctor. What formula did you use to keep your kids from being on crack or dope or a gang member? Those are the tools that we need to exacerbate. And as Machinda said, give them a sense of identity and reality. To come up like there's no problems, that there's no pitfalls, and that the pitfalls are normal. It's not normal for kids to be strung out on dope in junior high and high school. It's not normal for kids to be confused about their identity. These are things that we have to create a culture revolution to counter the negative culture that's out there. And that's why some say you may be in the world, but don't be of the world. You understand? And some change. Look, I've changed. I came up in the streets, I'm doing it all. You understand? But I had to change for my family, for my children. And as I learned more, and as I studied more, I realized that I was not only a problem for society, I was a problem for myself. And that's what Malcolm did. He changed. Malcolm was out there. So the only thing I'm saying is that the psychological and vocational development of the child is very important. But it starts while he's in the womb or she's in the womb. You have an expectation. You expose them not just to good times and trying to give them everything they want, make them earn it. Discipline. Discipline to take care of their toys. Put your toys up. Put your things up. Hang your clothes up. Yeah, it's a teamwork. Sharing the chores. We used to have chores. Mind these kids, the parents say, I'll do it. And they rob them of teaching them skills, domestic skills. They not only don't have vocational skills, some of them don't even know how to cook an egg. Some girls, don't even know how to make French fries. They never cook. And they don't know how to make it on their own. So I'm just saying, but you and your wives, or you as a single parent, made sure your kids had some type of mental stability and consciousness. And so I deeply appreciate that contribution. But at the same time, we don't control all the kids, as Brother Henrik and everybody has said. You know, but what we try to do is give them therapy when we do have them. And hopefully that would get them to want to change. You can't change them. They got to want to change. You can change behavior with roughness or incentives. You can make kids wash dishes or pay them to wash dishes. But one thing you can't do is make them like washing dishes. You understand? They got to want to do that. You understand? But how do you teach them to want to do it? To love the family institution and that they're a part of it. And that washing dishes, you're not washing them because you're being punished. That's a part of keeping the family together. Cutting the lawn, washing the car, you want to jump in it. You understand? All of that. Well, come out and help me wash the car. You understand? I'll either give you a couple of bucks or we ain't going nowhere unless y'all help. You know, there are different techniques that many of our future parents are not realizing their role in the discipline. Education and vocation, children should know that, you know, coming out of elementary school. You know, I mean, you're gonna be a doctor or a lawyer, you can't just want to, you got to get the skills to be that. You know, the same thing with economics. The value of money, as the good doctor said. You teach kids that, save. Don't spend your money on junk. That's an educational process and a discipline process. If you're just gonna throw the money away, ain't no need of me giving it to you. You understand? You got a hamburger meat here and you're gonna take your money and go buy McDonald's. That don't make sense. Get in there and cook your hamburger and save your money. That takes teaching and development. And then teaching them to have self-discipline. The mark of a good child is how they act when you ain't around. Can you trust them when you ain't around? That's the important aspect of that development. So I applaud y'all for the success of your children. But that formula you using, you got to suggest and also educate the future parents that you're teaching and that you're interacting with. I think parenting and self-development should be a part of the curriculum from elementary school all the way through high school. Parenting and self-growth and development, where you deal with the various peer pressure, bullying, sexual orientations, all of that should be done at home as well as the school. Any response?
Brother Rod, I don't have a response. I agree with what you said, and I have divulged the things that I use on my kids. But I did, this is for Brother Doctor, talking about the sellout thing. I hate to go back to that, but something just crossed my mind. Because Brother Thomas was talking about, you know, the institutions that we don't have for after school for our kids. And I brought this up when we had Brother Hodges on the show about all these brothers and all these professional sports and, you know, the entertainment field. And, you know, how the Jews have, in every community they have a community center where they teach their kids all the stuff they want them to know. But all the people that we have that we, where we, thrive to look at on Sundays, Monday nights and all of this stuff, what are those brothers doing? And Brother Doctor, because they're not doing it, I kind of put them in somewhat of the sellout category. Because I asked Brother Hodges, how come the brothers don't do more stuff like that? And he told me that the agents kind of deter them from that. And I posed a question to him, well, do the agents work for the players or the players work for the agents? And I forgot what his response was. And I left him with a quote from Malcolm: brothers play football, basketball, and baseball while the white man is cutting off a ball. So, you know, you know, we have the means to do whatever we need to do. If our minds are right, all of us. And I'm going to leave it at that. I got to break off and do a little something. So anyway, it was a good show. Enjoyed it. If Brother Thomas want to talk to me, you can get my number from, well, I give it to you right now. It's 310-502-4752. And we can carry on that other discussion over the phone. All right, brothers. Good night. Brother Raw, you can close
All right.
Anybody else have any more comments?
I don't know.
I have a comment.
Go ahead.
I was listening to Brother Rod, and I agree with you. If we had control as an educator, we have to submit to a curriculum, and like what Brother what's Brother's name?
Brother
Say it again, Henrik. What? Henrik said, what he did in his class, I did too, and I still do. But and because we're in a system whose whole structure is to undermine cultural refinement, cultural loyalty, respect, traditional Black family relationships, Black masculinity, Black femininity, Black maleness, Black femaleness, everything is working to undermine. And it's like trying to teach a fish to swim in fresh water in the salt water, in the ocean. That's how it is in the public school system. It's like trying to teach a fish to swim in fresh water in the salt water ocean. And until we extricate our children out of the salt water and teach them how to swim in fresh water in a freshwater environment, every effort we make in the classroom is going to be null and void. And I've even had pushback from students who thought that my position as trying to teach Black and Latinos self-respect, cultural pride, as it turns out, how to carry themselves as young men and women, dealing with relationships, dealing with health consciousness, sexual consciousness. I even had pushback from students. So it's like, unless we get them out of the school system and into an environment where a culture of self-respect and cultural refinement and love and those values that you talk about are saturated in that environment, from when they enter the campus to when they leave the campus, and then reinforced at home, the home is not even enough. What Brother Dr. Ra, the home's not even enough, because it's almost like you're still trying to teach your children how to survive in fresh water and then kicking them out into a saltwater ocean environment once they leave your home. The ocean is going to have more influence on your children than you did in the home. And we may have a few of our children that take on our teachings, but a lot more of them are falling by the wayside because the world is just that overwhelming. So I'm just like saying, I appreciate everything was said. I'm more solution oriented as it relates to what things are right now and how we need to separate according to the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, as taught by the Honorable Farrakhan, so that we can get our own and do for self and give to us what we can give to ourselves, besides relying on racist Caucasian America and their systemic racist structure and organizations to do for us what we can do for ourselves. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Brother Doctor or Brother Machinda.
Yeah, this is Brother Bashinda. Appreciate all the comments tonight. I think basically everybody's on the same page. We're not arguing with each other. I think that we're here to listen and give feedback, and of course we learn from one another. That type of thing. But I just appreciate the brotherhood and sisterhood. The relationship that's being created on the show. Like I say, I'm in the trenches every day. I've been in the trenches professionally since since the early 80s, and from a criminal justice and educational standpoint. And I'm down south living in a predominant town that I'm in is over 50% Black. But, of course, a lot of racism, a lot of structural breakdown, a lot or carryover from ancient times. So at the end of the day, I think we all have solutions. I see people periodically, they ask me, am I still working in education? Or are you still working at that school or doing this? And if I say no, they need you over there. You help me out, So we hear all these rewards and things and get these, we have some that are successful, but systemically, the problem lies systemically. And, we cannot, not recognize that there's an assault. There's an assault. It's not an excuse. There's an assault on people in this country and across the globe, across the diaspora. And so when we accept that fact, it's like, okay, so trying to get the parents and the grassroots people to understand that, historically what has transpired, that's very important. Know thyself. Brother Hembrick. I've heard. Of course, Dr. Ben, Dr. Clark, and all the other Dr. Roth. Know thyself. And once you understand, then you become. So that's what I've been trying to pass along. Within my pathway of life. Can't save the world, but I'm still fighting. You guys have a good evening, brothers.
All right. Brother Doc, you have any closing comment?
No, same thing just Miss Cindy said, hey, good show. We listen to a bunch of doctors, a bunch of brothers, and I think we're, you come up with solutions. We're just getting outpaced, man. We're getting outpaced by technology. One thing you said, hey, they can't cook the egg, but man, they can sure go on TikTok and this and all that and make videos, which I don't even know how to do. So I can cook an egg. But yeah, man, just gotta come up with solutions, man. But we just getting outpaced, man. We're getting outpaced by technology, man.
All right, brother Rasaki, you have a closing comment?
Well, mentioning technology, we just you have to do your best to acknowledge what's going on and then give an alternative. I tell my students, you can use this technology to help you with some of your homework versus going on TikTok. So you keep making them aware of some certain things. You plant seeds and the seeds will grow. There's many things I could talk about, and we're gonna talk about them. We got the Conscious Corner, and we have CN show. And mentioning the CN show, we got a guest host for the next 2 weeks, Brother Muko. And the topic is religion/spirituality. So that should be, a very good topic. He's going to present some information that he was telling me. I think that's very, very excellent. So can't wait for that on Wednesday. And I appreciate everybody this evening. Professor Ra, thank you as always. So thanks a lot, everybody.
Don't think that you do not have an impact on your neighbor's kids by the way you raise your kids. My son couldn't put an earring in his ear. None of my sons. They couldn't sag. They couldn't not go to school. We talked about what you want to be, when they in elementary school, and then tell them what they got to do. You control the narrative in your home. And that's where the psychological development and educational development, it's not going to school and learning about it. It's going to school and wanting to learn the things you need to know to reach your goal. Discipline is a very important thing. You want your elementary kid to think like a high schooler with a vision that's beyond. I don't care what the other kids are doing, they stay focused. And how you stay focused? You give them the vision of where they should be looking and having peripheral thought and peripheral values that are consistent with what you want them to be. We can't control other households. We can influence them, be a resource for a lot of kids. But like the doctor said, we don't control the narratives in people's homes, but we do control the narrative in our own home, in our own household. So this was a good subject matter. We didn't get a chance to talk about the Haitians. We didn't get a chance to talk about a number of issues that have come up pertaining to Black people worldwide. America has 5 territories called islands that they could be sending Haitians to. They don't have to send them back to Haiti. You understand? There are so many things that they could be doing. They don't send other people back to worse conditions than what they were up under the bridge. Those are our brothers and sisters. The struggle continues, brothers and sisters. I just want to say, we'll discuss these things next week. All right, then. I get back to you. I get back to y'all. And Joe, Brother Henrik, I'll call you by our next lecture.
You already said what.
And I want to thank all y'all made excellent contributions. Yeah. Brother Rachki, just want to say 2 times now. You on mute.
Okay, we're done.
Yes.
Okay, so good night, everybody. Conscious Corner, each one teach one.
All right. Thanks, brothers, for